अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome all. This is the 10th session and probably the 6th or the 7th topic of this series, titled as mind management. Beginning with procrastination to productivity, the journey of self-mastery. So before I get into this topic, we'd like to talk about some fundamental things. Just an FYI, I had initially thought to speak on the topic of forgiveness. Then when I began to think on that subject matter, then I felt it is a little early to speak on that topic at this point of time, because the main gist of this topic of forgiveness, the ability to forgive and let go, does not come just because you have developed an understanding. The forgiveness or the ability to let go depends on catching hold of something else. Unless you get hold of something else, you cannot let go of the past. So catching hold of something refers to the spiritual practice. So unless we cultivate a spiritual strength with spiritual practice, we cannot have this quality or cultivate the quality of forgiveness. So when I began to think of it, the case studies that I had, then I thought, it's all about, I don't want to give you theory, there has to be some action. So I thought if I give you something, some theory, it may sound interesting and it might sound overwhelming. Can I really do that also? Then I thought, okay, hold on. I guess what is really holding us back from taking on to the spiritual practice is this subject matter. Therefore, I thought, let me pick up a topic and speak this which is more relevant and extremely important to each one of us, including I for that reason, and we'll take a look at it when we begin to discuss this. So, it is said there are 4 dimensions of life. So, when I say 4 dimensions, there are certain things for the overall fulfillment of life. There are certain requirements. So I may call it 4 dimensions, or you can also call it as the 4 needs of life. Unless these needs are met, you cannot really have a wholesome experience of life. Before I begin to delve into the subject matter, let me put it this way. How many of you have had an experience or have seen through the journey of your life? At any stage of your life, you were said or you were told by the society where we live in, by our elders, beta, if you get this, then all will be okay. When you get to that stage, and then again you have a big question mark, then you are told, beta, you get that, you'll be okay. When you go to that stage, again if you have a question mark, you're told, beta, if you get the next thing, you'll be all okay. How many of you relate to it? That has happened to us all this while. Like this, we grew up through the life, we went through the school, we never wanted to go. We had to take an admission in college, we hated college maybe sometimes, went through the exams, were sat through the interview, took the job, and then got married potentially, or in the phase of getting married, all with the hope, if you do this, all will be okay. Imagine you go through the life and you become, let's say, 40, 45 years of age, and then you look back and you really question, which in today's terminology is called as midlife crisis. You look back and really question, what am I doing? What is there left for me to have? I've got a career, I've got a family, I've got my bank balance, I've got my house, I've paid off the EMI, I've got my car, I've got a job security, but still, ye dil mange more. Why this longing goes on? And just a simple example, why it goes on like this. Imagine, let's say you take 3 times meals in a day. Even if you take 5 time meals, it cannot satisfy the need of thirst. Yes or no? The need of thirst is altogether different from the need of hunger. But because you feel some urge, you begin to feed yourself. What's going to happen? You're just going to bloat and gain extra weight. You're just going to become bulky, but you will remain still the same, longing for something more. How many of you still find yourself in that situation even today? Longing for something more. There is always something that I want in my life. Raise your hands, raise your hand. There's always something I'm looking for. If I get this, and our hopes are so, if I get this, all will be okay. And we really strive for it. So this is a very important subject, 4 dimensions of life, which are extremely important. And these needs are not met, wherever we are, whoever we are, will continue to experience a sense of incompleteness. So what are these 4 needs of life? Beginning with, first, physical quotient, which means the need to live. Everyone wants to have a food security, life security, good health. We should have a shelter, etc., etc. These are the requirements. It cannot be denied. It cannot be ignored. And these are essential needs. Okay, need to live. Then the second need that we all have is the emotional quotient. I'm not calling it in the way of physical quotient, emotional quotient. I'm phrasing it differently. Need to live and need to love. Even if you have a healthy body, have all the wealth with you. I might have given the example here. Imagine for a second you have become the wealthiest person in this world. Health-wise, you have a perfect body. Wealth-wise, you have the maximum wealth. You own a private island which has a huge mansion. However, you are the only person living in that palace and the island. How many of you still will not be happy? Yes or no? That's the point. So we have a need to love. However, in today's day and time, we strive only to live. But we forget that there is a need to love also. So relationships, having a healthy relationships. Third need is intellectual quotient, which is need to learn and grow. We all want, there should be a personal growth, overall contribution to the society. So this also has to be addressed, which is called as intellectual quotient. And the fourth need which is there is called as spiritual quotient, which is the need to create a legacy, the need to create an example. This is such an important need. Unless we identify, recognize this, we will not be empowered to either live, love, or learn. We will become a mediocre person where we are just trying to live through the life without a purpose. Spiritual quotient is the need which helps us to identify who am I, what is the purpose of my life, what is the relationship of I with this larger world and with each and every living entity. This realization empowers an individual to give back to the society, which empowers your need to live, need to love, need to learn, to utilize all of that towards a fruitful action. Because now you're creating a legacy, you're setting an example. And this is what leads to self-motivation. You might have come across people who are self-motivated, and some people need a lot of push. The self-motivation comes largely because of identifying oneself, having an acknowledgement and understanding where I stand in this world and what I need to achieve. When there is a clarity on that, then your need to live, learn, and love gets fulfilled automatically. So, a very, very important subject. These needs are real, deep, and highly interrelated. How interrelated? If we see our spiritual need as separate from all other needs, we may not realize that what we believe about ourselves and purpose has a powerful impact on how we live, how we love, and what we learn. To compartmentalize or even ignore the spiritual dimension of life powerfully affects each of other dimensions. To put it in essence, if we don't have or if we don't do anything to take care of a spiritual need, your ability to learn, your ability to love, and ability to live, all three would be stunted. In fact, it will degrade down to only to an animalistic propensity. I feel hungry, let me eat it. I want to enjoy, let me enjoy. Living a life without a purpose. Don't believe me? Go and ask anyone in today's scenario, what's the purpose of your life? And largely people say to make money. Why do you want to make money? To enjoy life. What's the difference between you and a donkey or a dog on the street? In fact, that living entity is far better situated than you because he doesn't have to go to IT job, work 10 hours to get his food and sleep. Isn't it? So if we ignore this truth or the reality, the need of our existence to understand who we are in relationship to this whole world, in relationship to the higher power or the Supreme Lord, we continue to struggle. We can't even really live our life. Can't live nor love, and what to speak about, learn and move forward. If we see our physical need as separate from all others, we may not fully realize how the quality of our health affects the quality of each of other areas. Health is necessary. When we aren't feeling well, it is much harder to think clearly, to relate in positive ways to others, to focus on contribution instead of survival. So when we are not really have, let's say, the required shelter, the food security, the health security, there's no question of relationships, there is no question of learning, there's no question of creating a legacy. So the need to live has to be addressed. All the four needs have to be addressed. That's the point here. Fulfilling the four needs in an integrated way is like combining elements in a chemistry. When we reach a critical mass of integration, we experience a spontaneous combustion, an explosion of inner synergy that ignites the fire within and gives vision, passion, and a spirit of adventure to life. Then either you have tough times or the great times, you still experience life to be an adventure. Because every new day is a new beginning to explore what the world has to offer me and to face the challenges. And that spirit of passion comes when we have harmonized all the four things. Please repeat after me. Need to live, need to learn, need to love, need to learn, and need to create legacy. These are the needs, four dimensions of life. You can take this in an example of a car. If your life is represented by a car, then these four needs are the four wheels of your journey. And if you don't balance this, if you don't have a proper wheel alignment, your journey would be very bumpy. What to speak out if some of the wheels are missing? Your journey may not ever start. What to speak of attaining anything? What to speak of bumpy road? Your journey may not necessarily start. So that's about it. There are certain things which we need to understand about our needs. Because when we don't know what we want, I often give the example, if you have ever seen a toddler crying, everyone is confused, including the toddler. Kya chahiye? Everyone is running around, mother is running around getting the toy, father is getting something else, grandmother is running and doing some dance and something just to entertain the child. But nobody knows what the child wants. And even the child cannot, communicate what is the need. Similarly, or similar is our situation. We keep on longing for something, not knowing what I really want. What I want, what is that one thing? I've become so old now. What else is there to explore in this world? What is that one thing that will give me a sense of fulfillment? And the search continues, and often it ends in vain because not knowing how to address the need. First of all, we don't know what is the need. Then how can we address it? Now, even if we know these things, now whatever we have learned in the previous nine sessions is what we have focused on some of these subject matters. Just to how to live around these things. But even after knowing all this thing, that there has to be, first of all, the spiritual need is the foremost need that needs to be addressed. Because that is taken care. All of the needs are automatically taken care. Just like if you water the root of the tree, the whole tree, including the trunk, the twigs, the branches, the leaves, and the fruits, all are nourished. And it's very interesting. Nobody has seen the roots, isn't it? The gardener tells you, just water it. Where? On the root. Where is the root? It doesn't matter if you see or not, but I know, I am the gardener of life. I know where is the root, just water it. If you water it, it will nourish the whole tree. And that is all Lord Shri Krishna says, Man mana bhava madhbhakta madhyaji mam namaskaru. Just water the root of the tree, everything else will be nourished. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami mas. Just take my shelter. Everything else will be taken care. Because we have ignored the most important need, everything else is quite dicey. And the major reason is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam why people failed to really work on their spiritual need. Prayen alpayushya sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda manda bhagyahi upadutaha. Manda means lazy. They keep on delaying to fulfill their spiritual need, to identify their spiritual need. And that is how we come to the subject matter of procrastination. We are gifted in current day and time. Everyone is born with this inherent quality, whoever we are. And we keep on procrastinating. And that is the nature of this world. Manda sumanda manda bhagyahi upadutaha. So, I often do this particular presentation beginning from here for students. So when I was thinking what to speak to all of you, I'm going to harmonize this also for the family people as well as for the students. So I'll have examples both from the corporate life as well as from the student life. So you relate to it that way. I'm not going to make it only student-centric here. So what is procrastination? Any one of you would like to define in your language what procrastination means? Delaying the things. Okay, what else? Yes? Not acting upon it. What else? Anything else comes to your mind? Yes? Oh, very nice definition. Okay, so let's take a look at it. What procrastination leads to? I mean, of course, you can say it leads to stress, because you have delayed things, it leads to anxiety, pressure, whatnot. I would like to put three areas, high-level areas where if we procrastinate, what happens? Let's begin with it. And see if you agree with it or not. I'm not saying these are the exclusive three areas. You can have more. This is what I thought of it. You can add more to it. Procrastination leads to not fulfilling one's commitments. How many of us have failed in fulfilling the commitments that we give? How many of us have struggled with it? Somewhere, somehow, the idea behind is procrastination. We kept on delaying. Why we procrastinate is a later part of the subject matter. We'll discuss the psychology of procrastination in a short while. But not fulfilling one's commitment. To give you an example, Ramayana. Lord Ram and Sugriva. They both had an understanding, they helped each other. Ram assisted Sugriv, and Sugriv was bound, obliged to help Lord Ram. But Chaturmas, the 4 month of monsoon season began. Lord Ram said, hold, no need to send a search party. Let the 4 month of Chaturmas end, monsoon season, and then you resume the search party. Unfortunately, the 4th month 4 months became 5 months. Sugriv never came back. No search was going on for Mother Sita. And then Lakshman became extremely angry. He was so angry that he wanted to kill Sugriv, but Lord Ram said, well, first you warn. If he changes, okay. If not, then you can punish him. And then Sugriva realizes when Lakshman reached to his palace, extremely angry, and when he realized at that point of time that my life is in danger, and then he remembered, oh, I had given the promise. I couldn't fulfill it. Well, that's not the fact that he forgot. He was reminded by his wife. Tara was telling him again and again, the 4 months is about to get over, 4 months have got over, the 5th month is about to start. And he kept on, yes, tomorrow. Yes, I shall do it tomorrow and tomorrow. Being caught up in his distractions and sense gratification, it let loose like this. So procrastination can lead to missed opportunities and can negatively impact relationships and alliances. It may not externally look like procrastination, but the root cause is procrastination, the habit of delaying, letting go because of various factors. Here, factor was distractions. Next thing that procrastination leads to, delays decision making and conflict resolution. We keep on delaying decisions. हाँ सोच लेंगे, निर्णय कर लेंगे, and keep on happening like this. And a classic example is Kauravas or Pandavas versus Kauravas. If you see, Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra literally had the whole life with them to come to a decision. But they kept on missing one opportunity after another opportunity. They kept on attempting, first of all, delaying, giving Yudhishthira his right. Dhritarashtra, who was born blind after the death of Pandu, his younger brother, was given access to the throne on a condition: when Yudhishthira Maharaj becomes 18-year-old, you have to give the kingdom back to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj, along with other Pandavas, was brought back to the kingdom, and then when it was a time for Dhritarashtra to give the kingdom to Yudhishthira, he sent all of them to Lakshagraha. And that house of lack event occurred. And one after one, and Vidurji, Bhishma Pitamaha, Gandhari, who not? Everyone tried reasoning. Vidurji, everyone tried reasoning with Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana. Well, give back the rightful thing. But they kind of kept delaying and deferring. And the end result was destruction. The end result was destruction. So, and no conflict resolution. They couldn't come to reconcile. Lord Shri Krishna even went, no, we cannot give. We cannot give. Decide something. Make a choice. They said, no, if Pandavas, our wishes, let Pandavas go to the forest. But we will not. So they were not willing to find a solution to anything. And the third major thing the procrastination leads to, and if you deeply think on the subject matter, everything else is a subset of these three things. Avoidance of one's duty. We keep on giving different reasons why not to act. And we'll look at some of the case study of it. And here the example that I like to quote for you is Arjuna. That's how Bhagavad Gita begins. Arjuna reaches the battlefield, and because of the inner turmoil, he became bewildered. And he didn't know what to do, to fight or not to fight. And in that situation, he decided to give up his duty, or he wanted to avoid his duty. So this emphasis, the importance of seeking clarity in different situations and not succumbing to procrastination due to inner conflicts. The point here is, when we are caught up in this situation, either dilemma, lack of clarity, distractions, at that point of time, if we have somebody to seek clarity from, and if we can act on it, then we can avoid this procrastination. It's one of the biggest monsters which continues to threaten our growth and sustainability. So, now or later, why do we procrastinate? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Why don't we reconcile when there are conflicts? Why don't we make decisions? Why we keep pushing off the work? Why don't we invest time in relationship building when we know how important it is? Why we keep on delaying and deferring? Yes, We think we have indefinite time. मैं तो कभी मरूंगा ही नहीं. सब कुछ बहुत लंबा जीवन पड़ा है. Okay? It's very interesting. Many times people give the same answer. Not exactly. It looks like we're thinking like that, but it's not like that. Yes? Fear, very good. Fear of pressure, fear of stress. We don't want to handle it. Let's push it. Let's push it. Yes, Prasad. हाँ, जो चल रहा है वो अच्छा चल रहा है. अच्छा क्या चल रहा है और क्या चल रहा है पता नहीं. Yes, Mother Harsha, and then Mother Preeti. Uncertainty, that leads to fear. That leads to fear. Yes, Mother Preeti. It's not urgent. It is not urgent. So we leave it. Okay, okay. Anything else? Yes, Mother. Huh? Anxiety, correct. Fear, anxiety, uncertainty, laziness. What else? Yes. Comfort zone, pretty good. You don't want to quit your comfort zone. And doesn't want to face unpleasant situations. Yes, Mother. Huh? Ego, okay. Lacking clarity, okay. Not a priority, okay. I mean, I haven't found anyone who's satisfied with whatever they had. I mean, that's a definition of an Atmaram. I'm happy with what I have. There is no purpose for him to really work also. Yes. Okay, spiritual quotient is not defined, so lacking clarity. All of you are correct, all of you are correct. And a very simple answer in one way is instant gratification monkey. It's very interesting. Bhagavad Gita defines this monkey to be mind who keeps on hopping, keep on changing. You know, it keeps you distracted. Even if you decide to do something, when you're cooking, you're thinking of driving. When you're driving, you're thinking of work. When you're working, you're thinking of cooking. Always thinking what is not, isn't it? How many of you had that experience that you decided, okay, today 5 o'clock in the evening, I'm going to take a book, I'm going to read. Or let's say, I'm going to open my project work, going to a little bit do my brainstorming on the project work. And suddenly you start working on it. After 5 minutes, you feel like, कितना प्यास लग रहा है, कितनी देर से पानी नहीं पिया. Then you think, oh यार, अभी तो बैठा हूँ मैं, थोड़ी देर काम करने देता हूँ. Somehow you really strive to survive for next 5 minutes, and 10 मिनट के बाद भूख भी लगने लगती है. सुबह से कुछ खाया नहीं, कितनी देर से बैठा हूँ, क्यों इतना अन्याय हो रहा है मेरे ऊपर, बस थोड़ी देर. And you're saying, no, little bit, अभी 10 मिनट ही हुए, थोड़ी देर और. By the time it is 11th or the 12th minute, you say, hell with everything. अभी गया मैं आता हूँ, पानी पी कर आता हूँ. You go, you walk up, you get up and you walk. How many times have never returned back? Raise your hand. Never ever returned back. How many of you have done that? That is what this instant gratification monkey takes you off and entirely off. I mean, I can tell you, it happens with me also. I was making this point. I had this program recently for one college. So I was talking to them. I was making a point that at 10 o'clock in the night, I had a long day. Somewhere around, woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was 10 o'clock in the night. I was really tired. I thought I should take rest now. So I thought, okay, I'm anyways going to sleep now. Just let me just put things that what I need to speak on for my weekend activities. What are the topics that I have? So I at least have some clarity. I opened the laptop. I generally have my diary where I write in it. And I wrote Saturday evening. And then I began to think what I was thinking. Should I speak on forgiveness or not? Then I just wrote word forgiveness. Then I thought, okay, let me just do little more research on it. I went on internet. We have our Veda base where you get all the libraries, all the books. I went there. Suddenly my WhatsApp pinged. And somebody had sent me a message that something had happened somewhere. There was some news headline like that. I said, oh, really? Let me check the news headline. So I went on the news headline. And from news headline, there was some case had happened. I have a little bit habit of getting into analysis. I went into studying about the whole history of the case. And then when I came out of the whole thing, it was 11:30 in the night. And I was wondering, यार सुबह 3 बजे का उठा हुआ हूँ, आंखें खुल नहीं रही हैं, रात को 11:30 बजे हुए हैं, मैं लैपटॉप के सामने क्यों बैठा हूँ? And I went to sleep. It was 12 o'clock in the night, I went to sleep. I woke up somewhere around 4:30, something around 4:30. And then when I sat for my morning meditation, chanting, and suddenly I realized, Arre yaar, I opened the laptop to really think about should I speak on forgiveness or not. And I entirely forgot about it, that I had to think on it. I did everything else, what I wanted to do, except for what I wanted to do it. How many of us, you relate to it, that we go through this? Please raise your hand. Yeah, this instant gratification monkey, it destroys our life. Unnecessarily, I had a very tough day next day. I was too short of sleep. So yes, instant gratification monkey. I don't need to give much purport. You all are very well aware. And so far, what we did in this mind management series, we got you into the analysis of this monkey itself, the mind, how to deal with it. So, moving forward, procrastination, I really consider extremely deadly. There are two kinds of activities in our life. I mean, for whatever we have, we procrastinate. And these activities can be categorized into two boxes. First, activities or situations with deadlines. Any examples? Activities with deadlines? Your exams. What else? Your project meetings or project work? Your anything else like this, which have a deadline. So even if you have been procrastinating on this job interview, even if you have been delaying or deferring it, at least when you realize you have it, you do the probably the most impossible thing, or maybe doing a 2 or 3 days straight night outs, or maybe not eating a whole day just because you have a lot of work to complete. We all have done that, isn't it? But at the end of the day, we still managed to complete something. But our efficacy, our proficiency, and the result that we produced was very shabby. It couldn't be what we could have otherwise. To give an example, in my college, there was a friend of mine from Hyderabad. I saw him for the very first semester. Every beginning of the semester, we would get a diary which had a whole 6-month schedule and the list of topics, subjects we'll be covering. This gentleman, the very first day when I get a diary, and spent 2 to 3 hours really making a whole 6 months plan. Which month he will study which book and how he's going to balance his study work. But I saw him all through the engineering, he never did that. But very religiously and ritually, every semester he would spend his first day for that. Finally, I asked him one day, I said, why the heck do you do it when you don't follow it? He said, well, it doesn't matter. But I need to do it. Let me prepare my schedule. I said, okay. And in the 4th year, in the final semester, you have the project work, you have to go for internship. And all of us went for internship except for this boy. Because he never looked for it. He never attempted for it. So he stayed in the hostel in the campus doing something. 6 months became 3 months, 3 months became 1 month, and all of us began to come back to our university. 1 month became 3 weeks, 3 weeks became 2 weeks. And we are compiling our result. We are writing a report, and this boy even doesn't know what is the topic of his project work. 2 weeks became 1 week. Has not done anything. And 1 week became 3 days. Finally, let's say Monday was the deadline. Friday morning he woke up and he realized he got Atma Sakshatkar कि वो engineering कर रहा है और उसको engineering से pass होना है तो उसको thesis की report लिखनी पड़ेगी. And for the last 3 days, he was the last person to get the self-realization and he was the last person to submit the report. And for the 3 straight days, he did the unthinkable, the impossible, mission impossible. He did that literally. He slept 3 sleepless nights writing a report. I don't know what he wrote. How do you write a report when you don't know even what is a project title? How do you do so? He submitted the report. 3 weeks down the line, we all are sitting in our campus. He comes rushing to our room. It was my room with a few other friends. He was sitting there chatting around. He knocked on the room and he said, you won't believe, guys, what happened today. I said, tell us something new. What happened? He said, I got the call from our dean of our college. I said, really? Just to let you know, I did my bachelor's in electronics and communication engineering. Our dean at that point of time in Vellore University was the ex-director of the same branch from IIT Delhi, who had 30 years, more than 30 years of experience, extremely renowned person. And hardly he ever spoke to any one of us. And he said, I got the call from the dean of our branch. I'm like, wow, really? What happened? And the man said, our friend said, you won't believe, he dialed me up to tell me that in his whole life, whole career, he has not read a thesis, the amazing thesis as what I have written. Next to me, the topper was sitting. You should have seen his mouth. He was like, what? This rascal, what did he do? That the dean calls him up or tell him that he wrote the best thesis. And literally my jaw also, kind of wide open. I was like, what? How is it ever possible? And we were like speechless. 4, 5 of us really speechless. I was still okay, but the guy who was topper, he was really depressed. And when he saw our shocked state, and he said, hey, wait a second. I was lying. The dean called me to tell me, you rascal, what did you write? I'm going to beat you up. And then he said, well, I just told that because I wanted all of you to feel, at least for once in your life, in my lifetime, that how amazing I am. So anyways, the real life story, all of you might have your examples, but somehow he managed and somehow he managed to pass. Jokes apart. But there are activities which do not come with deadlines. These are the most dangerous things for us. Not that dangerous, but because of procrastination, we make our life dangerous. Any activities which do not come with deadline, which you have to face or which are important for us in our life, please raise your hand quickly. What could be the answer? What? Yes, sir. Quickly, say. Already thinking, yes. Who is speaking? I can't hear. Yes. Death. Okay, you can't do anything about it. Yes, mother. Any resolutions? Okay. What else? Spiritual life doesn't come with deadline. Correct. Mother Preeti. Accidents. No. We are talking about things which do not come with deadline. You ought to be preparing for it. You don't prepare for accidents. You ought to be practicing it. You ought to be doing it. But you don't do it. And you keep on delaying it, thinking tomorrow, but it has no deadline. And you realize that you have passed your life and you haven't done it. Yes, sir. Huh? Marriage. ये तो पहली बार सुना है मैंने. ऐसा जवाब तो आज तक नहीं आया. Okay, I have no comments to say, no experience on it. Okay, anything else? Yes? Health. You're missing the simple thing, health. It has no deadline. All of us know importance of exercise, yoga, whatnot. Kal karenge. What else? Health. What else? Yes. The professional growth. Again, it doesn't cover deadline. How much time we spent, on wasteful activities. If you can just take those time, preserve it. Recently, I was doing a calculation. If you can just save half an hour each day, spending countless hours on social media, from there you can take 30 minutes for yourself. That gives you 3.5 hours in a week and close to 14 hours in a month. And in a year, you get somewhere close to 170 hours. You probably can complete few trainings in that 170 hours. Yes or no? And every year you can increase your professional growth or skills if you go through for that. So we got health, we got professional growth, and looking for one more thing which is very, very vital. What is that? Yes. Spiritual health. Got it. Yes. Say it quickly. Spiritual health ho gaya. Studies, professional growth. Yes. That is relationships. It doesn't come with deadline. How we keep on delaying an opportunity to spend time with each other. The people who care for us the most, the people who have done the most for us, we keep on telling them, wait, we'll talk to you tomorrow. And that's how the life goes on. Can you imagine on things like health, relationship, and professional growth, because it doesn't have a deadline, how we are letting our life pass by? Just because of one thing, we procrastinate like this. So our challenge is, we are all procrastinators. We need to think about what we are really procrastinating on, because everyone is procrastinating on something in life. That's a homework for you. If you wish, you can take a good 30-second break and think about it. What am I procrastinating? Maybe health, maybe professional growth, maybe relationship. We need to stay aware of this instant gratification monkey. And that's a job for all of us. And as many of you said, there is one thing we keep on ignoring is our spiritual health. Let me give you one case study. And I'll be introducing two case studies here. Let's begin with first case study of a devotee who did everything else but paid attention to chanting. It's a real life case study of a near death experience which happened to her just recently. Let's take a look at it. In January 2020, while living in Mayapur, I had an unexpected life-altering encounter with death. Despite being in good health, a sudden illness led to a near-fatal situation. During this harrowing experience, I found myself facing a profound realization about the significance of the holy name and the impact of a lifetime of chanting. The unexpected turn. With no anticipation of mortality, I volunteered to care for a fellow devotee in the Mayapur hospital. And little did I knew that fate had a different plans for me. Within days, my health deteriorated and I was rushed to a clinic in Ranaghat. Electrolyte imbalances caused excruciating pain and frequent loss of consciousness. My body was shutting down and I was gasping for breath, struggling to survive. A crisis of faith. Having practiced Krishna consciousness for 23 years, I believed I could face death with a focused mind on Krishna. However, my inattentive chanting haunted me in this moment of crisis. Amidst unbearable pain and panic, my mind fixated on my mother, not Krishna. My intellect failed me and I couldn't muster a composed response to the looming end. And then occurred a divine intervention. Having practiced, I have missed writing here. So divine intervention. So, okay, let's take a look at it. If I'll see if the story is missed, I'll complete it. As I grapple with despair and regret, okay, so what had happened in the meantime? What was the divine intervention? This lady who lived in Mayapur, West Bengal now, originally is from Kazakhstan. A phone went to her community back in Kazakhstan, which is a Muslim-dominated country, that so-and-so devotee is on the verge of dying. So please chant for her. There was a Sunday afternoon program was going on, Sunday feast. They stopped the program then and there, and all the devotees assembled together and they did non-stop kirtan for 3 hours. And because they did kirtan for 3 hours, something began to change in her life while sitting in Mayapur. That was a divine intervention. And where she makes a point, although I was so far away, but devotees prayed for me. Prayers can travel faster than even your thoughts. They prayed for me while they were in Kazakhstan. I was in Mayapur. And because they prayed for me, suddenly things began to change. So what had happened, she was in so much pain, she could not think of anyone else. And who she remembered, actually Krishna says, Antakale cha mami vasparan muktva kalevaram. What she remembered, not Krishna, she remembered her mother. And she had no memory of anything. So was the pain for her. And then Krishna's grace unveiled because the devotee prayed for her. What happened? As I grappled with despair and regret, Lord Jagannath, the deity I had worshipped for years, revealed himself in a vision. Lord Jagannath appeared to her. And every moment of my life played like a movie. So according to Garuda Puran, when you're on the deathbed, then the whole life is relayed to you, what all you have done. If in case anyone is in the medical profession, particularly taking care of the dying person, what do you call as, what is the medical terminology for that? Palliative care, right? You can ask them, Patients, when they have a slow death, when they're on the deathbed like this, many times they cry, they howl, they scream because they're getting those memories of the past, what they have done. So Lord Jagannath appeared to her, and every moment of her life was played like a movie. And I saw how Krishna had been with me through every challenge and danger, protecting and guiding me. I realized the joint chanting of the holy names held the utmost importance in the eyes of Krishna. Particularly, what she remembered were all the occasions when she took part in the chanting, congregational chanting. Those were the things which were really highlighted. In this extraordinary revelation, the potency of kirtans, no matter how small, appeared evident. Every kirtan emitted radiant energy, connecting with the divine. I was in awe and realizing the true essence of my spiritual journey lay in the holy name's glorification. So she saw different parts of her life. While being in Kazakhstan, she used to go and distribute Bhagavad Gita. And she got many times life threats. She had a threat that her, beheading, आपको मार दिया जाएगा, etc., etc. And she saw, in fact, she had cases filed against her. She had to even go to the prison house multiple occasions because she was trying to give out Bhagavad Gita there. And she saw any time her life was under threat, suddenly either those people disappeared or those who were in the government position, they were transferred or expelled. And she, in her vision, now saw that how Lord Jagannath was playing his magic and making arrangements for her to keep moving forward. And then she saw kirtans. And when she saw kirtans and heard the chanting, and she saw the sound vibration being emitted here is vibrating back to the spiritual world. And that led to her in awe and reverence. A chance for redemption. My near-death experience left me with profound gratitude and a renewed determination to embrace the holy name sincerely and purely. So for a second, she had actually medically had been declared dead. She left her body. And then she saw the altar of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Maharani. And then she saw all three of them merging into one Lord Jagannath. And Lord Jagannath taking the form of Lord Krishna, taking the form of Lord Ram, enacting that pastime in front of her and blessing her. She described vividly, I've just put snippets. She described vividly the features of the Lord. How the eyes of the Lord look, how he looked, everything vividly she described. And she said, Lord smiled. The moment he smiled, I was back in my body. And then I woke up. My near-death experience left me with profound gratitude and a renewed determination to embrace the holy name sincerely and purely. With the mercy of Krishna and the teachings of my spiritual guides, I hope to cleanse my heart of material consciousness and approach the holy name with genuine devotion. She did everything in her life, all services and everything, but she always neglected the chanting. That was her realization. She did inattentive chanting. She did chanting while cooking. She did chanting while talking on phone or replying on a WhatsApp message, which means the most important part of her activity was ignored the most. And therefore she realized, she thought, if I just continue my life, at the end of the day, because I have done the good deeds, as everyone thinks, swargi ho gaye. She realized, that ain't happening. That is not happening. But devotee prayed for me, therefore she had a second chance. To conclude, through this near-death encounter, I learned that the holy name is a true refuge ever present in our lives. It illuminates the darkest moments and uplifts the soul to divine heights. May my journey inspire others to embrace the holy name with utmost sincerity, for it holds the key to eternal love and connection with Lord Krishna, Anand Vrindavani, from Kazakhstan, right now living in Mayapur. Her real life testimony of near-death experience. So although we know of it, we know the importance of it, either because of laziness or different reasons of procrastination, we keep on differing. Let's conclude the subject matter with another case study. This was a testimonial, but we'll have a case study where we'll be investigating the reasons why we procrastinate. What we discussed about why we procrastinate, one of the reasons was instant gratification. But there are other reasons that leads to it. And this is a story of a student by the name of a John, a college student who was very intelligent, equipped to grasp and understand. However, he never scored well in his school or college. And everyone wondered, what's wrong with him? He is also intelligent, but why he failed to score good marks? Similarly, all of you might have had an experience. I work so hard. Why don't I get that opportunity or the promotion why my fellow people get in the office? So in this case of John, which is a real case study, the book is The Procrastination Puzzle, from where I have took this case study. It's a very famous book on procrastination. There this case study is mentioned. So the parents of John decided to take a help of psychologists. They called few psychologists and they teamed up together and they decided to interview John. And they did something interesting. They interviewed John, they interviewed his friends, and they interviewed his parents also. But problem to John ki hai. Why interview everyone around him? Any idea? Any thoughts? Yes. What? Why? Huh? Environment? How he behaves? Why? Association. What you associate with is what you become. So if you want to fix John's problem, you need to understand he is not what he is because what he associates with. So if you want to understand John, you need to understand who are his friends and who are his family members. Not because of their behaviors and interaction, but what are their mindset. Very important. And because John was a bright student but couldn't succeed, the result was crisis. He lived his life in stress and there was an ongoing decline in his academic performance. Why? Because we don't need anyone outside of us to tell us how useless we are. We got a mind which keeps on telling us, क्या कर रहा है? तेरे बस की बात नहीं है. How many of you have ever felt like this or thought like this? The mind keeps on saying, you can't do this. This is beyond you. You think you can really do it? No, you can't do it. We keep on defeating ourselves because of this mind. So they did a study and they found out something very interesting. And these are the reasons which some of you had given in the beginning. The very first reason, fear of failure. He had a great expectation from himself. And he thought, oh, what if I fail? If I fail, I will be criticized. What will people think of me? So that fear of failure led him always keep on procrastinating, delaying, and that's the reason. Lack of time management skills. Some of you said priority, not having clear priorities, because of which he didn't knew how to spend his time, to what to give a priority. Avoid challenging tasks. He always wanted to be in comfort zone, as some of you said, comfort zone. He always wanted to be in comfort zone. He never wanted it to take a challenging task. He thought, if I take a stress, it will destroy my peace of mind. And therefore, he easily would take a comfort zone or the path of an instant gratification. However, he forgot, if he misses now, ultimately you have to face it. You cannot avoid it. And at the end of the day, you have to do something impossible. And the fourth, lack of motivation. He would not feel inspired enough to do it. How many of you find things in your life for which you like, मजा नहीं आ रहा, बाद में करेंगे? And that what they found. And then what were the solutions or interventions for it? First of all, if you want to counter the fear of failure, they concluded we have to have realistic goals. Realistic goals means understand what are your capabilities, what are your strengths, what I can achieve, what I cannot achieve. Set those goals and work on it. Time management training, very simple. Start with a to-do list. Every morning, write down the things that you want to accomplish today. And be happy just because you've written that. At the end of the day, before you go to wind up your work, take a look at the to-do list. Even if you have completed one of the to-do list action item, pat at your back that at least you accomplished something, which is a good start. Don't criticize yourself that I wrote 10 items, I did only once. Because if you criticize yourself, next day you will not write it again. And that is what your mind wants you, not to do that extra work, because he wants you to remain distracted. How to deal with pressure, avoidance of coping with challenging tasks. Break down tasks in simple things. Imagine you have to read a book within 2 weeks. Don't tell your mind that I have to read the whole book. Tell your mind, well, let me just read a chapter today, or half chapter today, half chapter tomorrow. Just think about it. How does it sound to you to tell your mind, I have to read a whole book, or I have to just read half chapter today? What is easier? What is doable? Your mind cannot tolerate or handle difficult tasks. Mind can only handle easy tasks. Make it as easy as possible. The moment you make it complicated, mind becomes extremely agitated. Extremely agitated. And the fourth, how to get motivation, how to counter lack of motivation, creating a supportive environment. Just like if you want to study, you don't go at the middle of the football field and study. You go to the library and study. Why? Because there are other students studying. Similarly, if you want to practice spiritual life, it's very essential to associate with other spiritual minded people and be in that environment and association, because then it gives you the motivation to do it. If you don't have association of like-minded people, you cannot get what you want to have. In essence, whatever you want to accomplish in your life, always have somebody senior to you in that field to associate with. We say in our language, find out the dons in respective field and associate regularly with them. So to conclude with, in essence, Bhagavad Gita does not directly speaks on the subject matter of procrastination, but Bhagavad Gita time and again gives us lot of clues how to counteract this procrastination. I'll just give you one or two options and we'll conclude for today. First, the importance of self-discipline. 6th chapter, 6th verse of Bhagavad Gita says, Arjuna, learn to control your mind. Controlled mind is one's friend and uncontrolled mind is one's worst enemy. So first thing is self-discipline. That begins with controlling the mind. This verse highlights the importance of mastering the mind to overcome distractions and tendencies like procrastination. Understand the nature of mind is always fickle. It always restless. So procrastination is linked to this mind's tendency to be restless, always looking for instant gratification. 6th chapter, verse number 34, Arjuna says, what is that? This thing. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati ballavad radham. So restless nature of the mind, it always keep on looking for something else. We need to practice meditation to control the mind. Third example, acting without attachments to results. 2nd chapter, verse number 47, Krishna says, you have the right to perform your duty, but not on the results. The moment we become attached to the results, we keep on thinking about the results and we fail to focus on the task that we have at hand. And because we spend all the time thinking about the result, finally when we have the time to perform, then we realize, I have not prepared anything. Now you begin to fear of the failure. Now you get into the caught up in the web of fear of failure. Again, you cannot focus. So therefore, if we develop this sense of detachment for the result, then you can live in the present and focus. Otherwise, our mind keep on wandering back and forth like this. And embracing the present moment. Krishna says, 4th chapter, verse number 10, Vitaraga, Bhaya, Krodha. Arjuna gave up the anger, attachment, fear, and raga, attachment, bhaya, fear, krodha, anger, like this. Which means stop worrying about the future and give up your regrets about the past. Raga, bhaya, krodha. Be in the present. Focus what you have on your plate or what you have with you today. And like this, you can grow. So these are just quick 4 points. Like this, there are many pointers in Bhagavad Gita. So what we have done so far with our mind management series is given you a little bit of understanding of how Bhagavad Gita can really help us. Imagine if you start studying it, so many topics and issues can be addressed. I've just addressed few things. Similarly, we can have a presentation on anger management. We can have presentation of forgiveness, many other topics like this. But again, it needs certain level of, understanding of it. So to conclude our session for today, I would like to give you one formula, which I would like you to remember. We were told by Nike, just do it. Just do it recklessly. But this whole idea of just do it is what keeps on, which keeps us distracted. We would like to change this slogan from just do it. If you want to defeat procrastination, just remember this, and we can. And what is that? Just start it. Just say that loudly. Just start it. So let's say spiritual practice, chanting. Don't wait for tomorrow. Just start it. The moment you say just do it, which means tomorrow, day after tomorrow, because it doesn't have a timeline. The moment you say just start it, just do, start means begin it from today. And you will notice all the sense of fear, that it will be very difficult, it will be this and that, it all goes away when you begin the task. So do not delay it for tomorrow. In our childhood, we learned this particular phrase or the prose, Kal kare, so aaj kare, so ab, pal mein parlay hogi, fir karega kab. That's the meaning of this. Just start it. So we are also just getting started, not today's session, with our themes or with our subject matters here. So today we are concluding this whole mind management series. What's next? Our next course or program will start, titled as the Gita Unplugged. Immersing in the complete Bhagavad Gita, we're going to study all the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Don't get frightened. Oh, itna sara. Every session will cover one chapter. And for some long chapters, we may have 2 sessions. So we plan to cover this whole 18 chapters between 20 to 24 sessions, which means it will be a 6 months duration. So if you understand how we have built up so far, we started the very first program of this year only with 5 session commitment, Gita Wisdom. Then we doubled it up from 1.5 months to 3 months, mind management. Now we're doubling up. We're making it 6 months. So that's how slowly and slowly. Imagine if I have to propose right in the beginning, 6 months course, Hare Krishna, Tathastu. अच्छा लगा आपसे मिलकर, खुश रहें आप. So like this, slowly pick it up. We'll come to this. However, this course is going to start from 16th of September. 9th September is when we are celebrating our Janmashtami at Hinjawadi. 7th is the official date. 9th is the date when we are celebrating in Drupad Lawns in phase 1. We'll have that invitation sent on to all of you later on. So now we have a break. Well, it's not a break. Considering the situation with the weather also, and I know post Janmashtami many new people would like to get connected, so then to add them in between of the course wouldn't be appropriate. So we are shifting the Saturday program from this Hotel Tamanna to Blue Ridge. Every Saturday evening program would happen in Blue Ridge. We had the presentation, but I forgot. We'll share that announcement on the WhatsApp group. I hope all of you are on the WhatsApp group. You'll get it. So 5th, what is the next week? 29th, right? So 29th, we have program in Mother Maika's house. Then on 5th of August, Mother Rima's house. And then 12th at Nasik. We are traveling to Nasik for a retreat. How many of you are aware of that there is upcoming Nasik retreat? Have you seen that notification? All right. How many? Oh, half of you have not seen only. तो कितनों ने देखा है जरा हाथ खड़ा करो. All right. How many of you are coming for it? Have signed up? All right. Oh, really? What about others? Nasik, Bhagwan Ram ki jagah. You should. Anyways, so that would be the event for that weekend. And the following weekend, we have a program at Mother Prachi and Subho's house. Like that, every Saturday, we have an activity planned for all of you there. With that, I conclude here for today.